The more you think about how much is this going to cost you versus how do I measure the value, the more money you will continue to lose. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that's the reality. Hello and welcome to another episode of Your Business, Your Next Level. I'm your host, Eunicia Peret, and today I am in the studio on my own. The reason I come to you on my own today is because of the multitude of questions that we've been getting from our listeners, as well as from individuals out in the market asking us, Eunicia, why don't you talk about more of the tax strategies, as an example, that you do, that you're so familiar with, that you've helped so many clients with? And why is it that so many people do not want to make a move, do not want to be thinking outside of the box when it comes to their own finances? Now, as you know, I am all about thinking outside of the box. And Your Business, Your Next Level is a podcast where we talk about not just finances. We're talking about thinking how you can think outside of the box, whether it be how you build your business and how you show up and you communicate and how you think about things from a psychological or mindset perspective, in how you think about sales and how you think about investments and how you think about your medical side. So if we're thinking about all of those things, and everybody would love to be outside of the box, would love to think outside of the box and have the freedom to actually do something different, why aren't more people doing that? Today, we're going to talk about the top 3 things that we've seen. There are a myriad of other things that are out there, but the top 3 that we've seen over and over again in individuals that, frankly, they have the financial crater in the backyard. Money is literally being siphoned every single day, every single month, every single year, whether it be because of their overexposure to taxes, because of how their investments are structured or not, because of the people that they work with, the teams that they work, or maybe they don't work with. So let's address them. The very first thing that keeps people back is the fear of anything new, the fear of making a shift. As human beings, we have a propensity to really love the things that we already know, to love what feels comfortable, to love what feels like we know. And what we also know is that as individuals, we get that gut instinct. I call it that gut instinct. We get that internal instinct that tells us maybe there's something more out there. And we start exploring and we start asking questions, and our horizons open up just a little bit more and maybe a lot more. And we're being offered the opportunity to take a major step towards our success. For our clients, it's the step towards, you might already have a financial team. You might already have a CPA that you're working with, an attorney team that you're working with. And at the same time, there's nobody truly quarterbacking it all. There's nobody that is able to come in and give you an unbiased opinion, looking at things through a third-party lens to say, okay, let's look at the pros and cons, which way is up and which way is down, and be able to work with your broader team. Or if the team isn't suitable or they're not willing to take a step in the right direction, bring in experts that can surround your situation so that you too can stop your financial crater. That fear of making the shift is so big in many people that they would much rather continue doing what they're doing over actually making a side move, over actually taking a step forward, a step higher towards their better goals, towards their bigger goals. Why does that happen? We already talked a little bit about kind of what happens in people's minds. Just we're programmed to want to go with what's comfortable. So how do you go about it in a way that it's easy? Anytime you want to make a shift, let's say that it's on the financial side, although you can apply this in any area of your life. Let's say that you're at the point where you know that you've probably outgrown the financial team that you've been working with. How do you go about it without saying, you know what, you're leaving everybody behind? You bring in an unbiased third party, somebody think of this person or this team. We do this for our clients all the time. They're your personal financial coach, thinking about everything through your lens, not through the lens of the industry, but through your lens to say, is there anything else that can and should be done for you? That is one of the easiest things that you can go about this. Now, I've gotten this question from a lot of friends of mine when it comes to physicians, when it comes to their medical team. That's even perhaps more personal because it deals with your health. I've gone through this myself, by the way, in assessing. I used to work with different physicians and physician groups, and who do you trust? And somebody over here says something that perhaps you're working with an integrative medicine physician that doesn't really talk about the things that you're hearing about in other places. How do you go about that? You ask questions of your current team. You give them the opportunity to rise up to the challenge, because maybe that those topics just didn't need to surface in the prior conversations. Maybe they already know the information. And if they don't, then it's okay. You let them know that, hey, by the way, I've heard about XYZ and I'm really intrigued. I'd like to learn more about that. And what happens is when you allow the experts to actually talk together, what you'll find is that your situation will position you'll be positioned for a lot bigger success. Again, whether it be on the medical side, or whether it be on the financial side, whether it be in business, in anything that you do. So ask questions, be open about it, and let your team know that, hey, you are open-minded and you would want for them to be the same. Because there's nothing worse than to have a team that works more against you than for you, because they really would prefer for nobody else to be under the hood of how they run their business. Why do I say that? It's because a few years back, I literally had a CPA. I was just trying to understand what are some of the strategies that this particular individual was already working with our clients on. And at one point in time, she literally came out and she said, I really would prefer that you don't continue to peek under the hood of my business. That's none of your concern. Well, as quarterbacks for our clients, yes, it is our concern, because when we started looking in more detail, there was a lot of money being left to chance simply because that CPA was a great individual, tremendous personality. However, when it came to understanding the tax code, it was not necessarily, we were missing out on a lot of different things that our client could have implemented. And so when we brought in the external support, the client was better positioned. And guess what? The CPA was better positioned as well. So the fear of shifts, do not keep letting the fear of shifts cost you in whatever area of your life that you might need to take a step towards making improvements right now. The other one is the scarcity mindset. This is a really big one. Scarcity mindset is huge for people because it's all about what can they get for less. And what I'm here to tell you is that when you ask the question of, can I get that for less? You might. But ultimately, nobody is going to want to work for less money or for a lesser ability to deliver value to you. And so when you're thinking about, well, if I'm going over here, I'm getting the consultations for free. And yes, they're going to charge me a percentage of the money that's invested. It's a small percentage and they're doing whatever they're doing and it's fine. What we found is that it's not fine, because free does not always equate to less cost for you. Free oftentimes actually equates to, for most of the individuals that we see, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars left to chance. I'm going to let that sink in for a moment because it's real. Don't ask the question of, well, how much will this cost me? It doesn't matter who you work with. Ask the question of, how can we measure value? Because when you can actually measure value, when you know that there's an ROI on whatever fees that you're paying, are they really fees? Are they really a cost? If at the end of the day, you're the one that comes up ahead? Listen, at Excelstra, our job, our whole focus is not to ever be costing our clients money. If clients come to us and they say, well, I just really would love to work with you because you're so amazing, Eunicia, and your team is so amazing, it doesn't matter about the ROI, we wouldn't be taking them on. Because unless we can deliver value and we know that we're ultimately not costing our clients money, we want to be putting money in our clients' pockets, we would never ask someone, we would never extend the invitation for someone to even fathom working with us. Because the reality is that would be a disservice to them and it would be a disservice to us. That's not how we do business. So try to get past that scarcity mindset. Get past the fear of, oh my gosh, what is this going to cost you? And start asking the question of, how do you measure the value? And when you're able to ask that question, huge changes will happen, not just on the financial side. They will happen on the medical side for you. They will happen in business, because it's no longer going to be about trading services for contract cost. It's going to be focusing on, yes, you have an investment. That investment should actually render you back some sort of a return. How do we measure the return? That's a really, really big piece. And The third one is external influences. I talk about this a lot. And the reason I talk about it is because oftentimes we see individuals, especially when they come over to us or we have in conversation, they'll say, well, my so-and-so, whether it be financial advisor, CPA, doctor, pharmacist, engineer, consultant, whoever they are, here's what they said. I don't think I can do XYZ because here's what I heard, or here's what my friend told me. The external influences, people that you have in your corner, let's hope that they're not malintentioned, okay? That's a topic for another day. Let's hope that they're not malintentioned. External influences aren't always good necessarily, because oftentimes those individuals that are blessing you with their knowledge, you might ask them a short little question, or you might propose a short little idea, and they come up with paragraphs and paragraphs of why you should or shouldn't do the thing. What they don't understand, however, is they don't understand the background. They don't understand what was part of that discussion. Why should you or should you not do something that you need to be doing? And because they don't understand, they don't have that depth of knowledge, why would you ask them in the first place? You're just going to get a response that's going to deviate you away from where you're needing to go to. I'll give you a perfect example. Not long ago, I met with a CPA firm who they profess to do everything for everyone, including talking about tax strategies and how they're minimizing clients' taxes and one thing and another, and business structures and everything a client could possibly want. Towards the end of the meeting, the decision was for us to get back together to figure out ways to potentially collaborate and figure out how we can help clients together. And because the partner that I was speaking with had gotten to the point where he was very comfortable, here's what he said. He said, it tickles me to death every time a client comes over and asks me, what tax strategies should we be thinking about this year so that we can minimize our tax exposure, because we would love to reinvest that money back into the business. He said, here's what I love to tell them. He said, I basically go out and tell them, just write me a $250,000 check, and I guarantee you every last penny will be deductible. Now, I don't know about you, but my jaw dropped straight to the floor. And interestingly enough, there was another strategic partner in that meeting with me. And after the meeting, he said, I couldn't believe my ears. He said, I've known this partner at the CPA firm for so many years. And every single time we talk, he wants to know, what about tax strategies? What more are you seeing out there? How could we be potentially doing more? And the strategic partner said, Eunicia, it sounds like it was all smoke and mirrors. I said, well, could it be? I mean, he made that statement. It was very clear that he was very passionate about, clients shouldn't really do anything. Just write them a $250,000 check and everything will be fine. He said, no. He said, it's real. It's real because he said, did you see how he talked down the things that the clients are talking and are asking about? So going right back to external influences, who is in your corner, and who is the group, the team, the person that is able to help see things through your lens, through your eyes, with an unbiased look at what your options are. And once you found that person, that group, that team, you will know that you have arrived to the next level of wealth, to the next level of growth, to the next level of being. Because it's much easier when you have somebody else that can give you some ideas. And yes, you might be thinking, well, external influences, I could go ask my next door neighbor or my friend or my financial advisor or whomever it is. You can. And if these are people that you're already working with, my question to you would be, where are your checks and balances? And if these are individuals in your social network, how much information do they really have about the things that you might have been exposed to for them to really be able to impress their perspective on whether you should go left, you should go right, or you should go straight ahead? And with that, I leave you with the 3 things that you should be aware of, the 3 things that are costing individuals the opportunity to truly elevate to the next level. And they are, in the order we discussed, the fear of shifts. Ask questions and don't be afraid. You don't have to completely unplug from a team in order to plug into another. What you need that unbiased support. And you need to bridge the gap, and you need your team to understand that you want them to collaborate with one another. Whether it's your medical team, whether it's your financial team, whether it's your business team, it doesn't matter. It's the same across the board. Scarcity mindset. Huge, huge, huge. Please, the more you think about how much is this going to cost you versus how do I measure the value, the more money you will continue to lose. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that's the reality. It's time that we cut that cord and we focus and we ask for what is the value that I will be getting. And then last but not least, watch out for those external influences. It doesn't mean that if you ask somebody about their perspective, that they're going to give you insights that are going to be wrong or right for you, unless they have the detailed picture and unless they know every detail about you and about your situation, about what you're trying to achieve. Asking an next door neighbor or asking someone in your social circle what they think about X or Y, especially if they don't come at it from an unbiased perspective, is probably not the right thing to do. And this third point takes us right back to the fear of shifts and having that unbiased support. It doesn't matter who you work with. It doesn't matter even your current teams. Bring in some of that. Think of it almost like your own personal board, your financial board, your medical board. Who is there watching your back? Make sure that you have that. And when you have that, then guess what? The external influences, especially from a social circle perspective, are going to be mattering less and less. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be surrounded by experts who can actually help you elevate to the next level. And with that, I leave you with the idea that there is more that you can do. Stay tuned for your next episode of Your Business, Your Next Level. And please share with us what are some of the things that you liked about this episode. And more importantly, in the comments, what are the things that you would like to hear me speak more about? And we'll make sure that we bake those into further and future conversations. Thanks a bunch. Chat soon.
Thank you for joining us on Your Business, Your Next Level podcast, where it is all about helping you make more, keep more, and elevating your business to the next level. To learn more, make sure you head over to www.podcast.extelstra.com and don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show. Again, that's podcast.excelstra.com. Until next time, thanks for listening.